How do you find coaching people on Tekken is a difficult process? I mean, I've done so many coaching sessions now, but I used to be very stressed about it when, I guess, my first half year doing it. I always felt like, oh god. I mean, back in the day, I would charge like $25 for 2 hours. And I'd be like, oh, that's an insane amount of money. But that was me being very naive. And I was like, oh, I was so stressed, you know, trying to convey as much information as possible just to make the student feel that it was worth the investment. Yeah, you know how it is. You know, you want to live up to their expectations. You know, have them take something with them after the session. Hopefully, something that makes them progress in their Tekken gameplay. But for the last 2 years, I've been rather confident about it. I have a very good system. I always do the coaching, unless there's a bad connection, you know, they live in Australia or Asia, or I always do the same coaching session layout, and it usually works really, really well. And I always, during every session, I'm constantly making notes, and then I send the student my notes at the end, so that they don't feel... I'm a person who talks a lot, in case you haven't noticed, so they get my notes just in case they forget anything I say, and then they get some homework. And that's the best thing about taking people in who commit to 4 sessions. You can actually follow the progress and give them homework for each session, and we usually do 1 session per week. And it's really nice to follow the progress, and that way actually it's been extremely rewarding both for me and the student, because everyone has progressed quite a bit. But it's most often the same, to be honest. It's someone in light blue ranks, green ranks, or yellow ranks, and they want to become a competitive player most of the time. That's why they come to me. And the question is like, okay, this is me. This is how I play. How do I turn this into a just an overall stronger fundamental Tekken player? And it's usually the first thing is just, why are you using this? You don't know how often I see Kazuya players use back 1-2 as an offensive tool. And I'm like, you know, it's... First step is always remove the bad moves. And that's hard for a lot of people because autopilot is a real thing. Even if you tell them to stop using this move, you tell them 5 times over, they still, when they get a little bit stressed, back 1-2, back 1-2. And it's, that's always step 1 in my coaching sessions, making sure, understand that your old toolkit you were using is very flawed. Forget about that. Use these moves. So as soon as that is set, you know, ingrained, and they can actually apply it, that's when you start looking at game plan. Now I can tell you why we are using these moves instead of these moves, and how you utilize them in a proper game plan. And I'm talking a lot about this, but it's very interesting to see how people play the game in lower ranks. And it's most often there's just a lack of awareness and game plan, and it's more about pressing buttons, because offense is often rewarding and it's fun to do combos, because as soon as you launch someone and you do a big combo, you get a lot of positive feedback in your brain, like that was fun, so I want to launch again, and then suddenly you're spamming electrics all day because that's fun. And if that's fun, you know, that's great. But if you want to become a great player, you have to know why you are doing things and apply, you know, a different game plan depending on your opponent. Or
how are you?
Depending on the character you're going up against. Maybe spamming electrics isn't the best idea versus Xiaoyu, Eddie, Zafina. And it's just understanding that when you're in the loading screen seeing your opponent, you should be starting to formulate for yourself a game plan and adjust that game plan as soon as the game starts and you see how he plays. You adjust the game plan and you take it from there. But my students, 80%, always use the same attacks no matter the character they're going up against, love to press buttons, autopilot, are not aware when they play. And sometimes it takes an outsider to point this out to you to make it obvious, because it's not obvious to you. And it certainly was not obvious to me when I was a green rank. So a big win, honestly, in these coaching sessions is just me taking literally 20 seconds to make aware for a student what would take them probably could be 2 years to realize by just watching streams and YouTube and learning by themselves, like what is awareness, what is a game plan. You can point that out immediately. And you know, it's very interesting.